So if we continue to follow a hedging or a non-alignment strategy, I don't think that will reap us any real economic benefits. And I think the history of Asia in the 20th and 21st century clearly shows that for small nations like us, having alignment is what gives you benefits in the long run. I do hope that it leads to more India Sri Lanka connectivity specifically, but logically, India Sri Lanka connectivity is the only way to get us out of the economic troubles we're in. This is where a sharper understanding of foreign policy is required. Sri Lanka has this non-alignment obsession, and even if you listen to many of the, as you know, many of the geopolitical experts in the Asian region, they love the word hedging, and they keep using that keyword like it's some kind of masterful strategy, even though hedging has done absolutely nothing for anybody. So if we continue to follow a hedging or a non-alignment strategy, I don't think that will reap us any real economic benefits. I would be far more comfortable, even though it would be more challenging politically, I would certainly be far more comfortable with us following a policy of alignment. It's not my job to determine which nation the country needs to be aligned with, but I do think we require alignment at this juncture.
Do you think something similar to what India is doing would also work, where you align with 2 or 3 different nations based on needs?
So I think India has a unique luxury. I think when you're a regional power, this multi-alignment and strategic autonomy line of thought is sustainable. So India, for instance, can get away with being probably the only country in the world that has a great relationship with Iran, Saudi Arabia, and Israel. So you might find countries that have a good relationship with one of them or 2 of them, but I think India is one of the few countries in the world that can genuinely say it has a deep friendship with all 3. And you can get away with that when you're a regional power. But Sri Lanka trying to play a balancing act, we've tried to play that over the last several decades, and I've simply not seen it giving us anything in return, unfortunately.
That's interesting because, let's talk about India and Sri Lanka. Do you think this new election will change anything?
I think the vote that they've gotten in the north might change things in the sense that I don't think even the NPP was expecting a 2/3 majority. In fact, you had the president even mentioning in a speech a few days ago that a 2/3 majority would be dangerous for a country, and that governments in the past have used it to kind of barrel through with unpopular reforms and things like that. And lo and behold, we find out today that they themselves have a 2/3 majority. So, and a big part of that was because of the unexpected gains that they got in the north. So now they might have to recalibrate some of their perspectives on how they want to conduct their foreign policy and their engagement with the rest of the world and all that. I do hope that it leads to more India Sri Lanka connectivity specifically, because I see that as being the only way out of the economic mess that we're in. So my hope is that they will be nudged towards that decision. But overall, I don't see them veering away too much from the traditional non-alignment hedging mindset.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I mean, you're asking for change, but you're not changing.
I'm not a fan of non-alignment and hedging. I am much more a statistical fan of looking at history and looking at what types of foreign policy works. And I think the history of Asia in the 20th and 21st century clearly shows that for small nations like us, having alignment is what gives you benefits in the long run. So that's where I hope the government will go. But unfortunately, there's a huge uphill journey that any political party here will have to partake in if they want to align, because you have many vested interests that belong to many different countries that are entrenched here, and you would be accused of being a puppet of either China or India or the United States if you even start talking about alignment and all that. So There are political challenges, but logically, India Sri Lanka connectivity is the only way to get us out of the economic troubles we're in.